Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Hillary Fredrickson here, and I want to talk about dementia. Over the last week, I was at a big event in Austin, Texas, which was awesome. And there were about 700 people in the room. And the woman running the event just said how many people who have been influenced or have a family member going through memory loss or dementia. And I couldn't tell if it was a quarter of the room or a third of the room, but it was a lot of people in the room. It was staggering. This was not a medical conference. This just happened to be the way that this woman was surveying her audience about a point that she was willing to make. But obviously, being a doctor in the room, I sat around and turned around and went, "Oh my God, this is so intense." The rise of dementia. And the interesting thing about dementia or Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, is that it's very multifactorial. It's one of those things that's probably, it's a lot like autism for kids. Like, it's hard to say it's one thing. It's multifactorial, meaning that blood sugar has probably impacted it over a person's lifetime. Genetics obviously comes to play. You can see this run down the line in families, and we have genetic markers that at least let us know, are we susceptible? Do we carry the gene that makes us more susceptible? I do. And so it's a big topic for me. Kara doesn't. I do. And the some of the genes for cardiovascular disease and dementia kind of run hand in hand. They're in a family of genes. And so if you don't know, you need to know. It's so funny. Kara and I were at a conference, like I said, all week. And you know how it is when you're out of your routines, out of your homes. I didn't have my blood sugar monitor on. I don't wear this all the time, but I happen to not be wearing it in Austin. So I just didn't know, like, we were eating barbecue, we were doing things, drinking. We just were completely erratic and irregular in our schedules. And so this morning, I saw the scale. I usually do a weekly check-in on a scale just to be in communication with myself about where I'm at. But it's data, right? And I was thinking, should I get on the scale? It's kind of weird. I didn't have a good week. I don't want it to impact my mindset. And I'm pretty good about the scale not impacting my mindset, but it's still a thing. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that today, because it felt like, it might not be true because I had a weird week. And then I was like, Hillary, it's data. It's a data point. Like, you don't have to take it on. You don't have to take it personally. You don't have to make it that you're good or bad, or that you should be ashamed or not ashamed. Just get the freaking data. And I got the data and it was fine, right? Like, it's just like a data point. That's how it is. These genetic markers. If you don't know your genetic markers, your ApoE4 gene or some of the other cardiovascular risk factors, then you need to. You need to. And I also think there's other genes that come into play that we can actually mitigate, that help mental health and brain inflammation, like histamine mediated genetics, which I think are very important and will come out over time. I see so many patients with histamine related things. Antihistamines long term can be a drug class that can cause some brain dementia, but histamine itself can cause some brain inflammation. So that there's a big piece of the puzzle going on there as well. So we need to know what's true for you in real time. We just do. And the data is always a factor. That it doesn't mean that you're good, bad, doomed, not doomed, right? Like, it's just a data point that we then can use to influence. And there's other markers that matter to us a lot as well. Some of your DNA repair, mitochondrial markers. If you have MTHFR, many people have spoken about that. So you're going to hear us keep talking about the genetics. And yeah, we have a genetic test that we want all of the people working with us to do, because that is a backbone. To not use it, it's just not using data points. It's like being on a weight loss journey and not using the scale. The scale should not define you, obviously, but to not use it, it's like you're kind of missing a marker. And if you, to not use a blood glucose monitor in somebody where we're actively trying to shift their blood sugar, you're missing the data. So we just need the data. So if you haven't done that, really consider doing that. Our program, we make it really affordable, and we work with you and get you at least a consult so you can understand some of the key takeaways that you can work with your doctor, or who you're going to work with in your healthcare team. But it's really important. My mother just is having a birthday today, and in my mother's family there's a lot of dementia. My mother's brother just passed away from Alzheimer's. um, and my mother's grandmother had dementia. Both of my grandmothers, my paternal and maternal grandmother. So I'm at very high risk. And we're looking at, like, what are some of the factors that I wish my mom would have known. And one of them is sugar, and one of them is blood sugar. And the way that sugar and a high blood sugar level influences the brain and the health of the brain. And the good news is that the brain can be shifted and changed and healed. The brain can heal. We see it all the time. There's a very incredible psychiatrist named Mary Ackerley, and she is one of the teachers in the associations of chronic illness and mold and mycotoxins and brain dysfunction, where I study and get a lot of my information. ICI, it's for professionals. And she teaches a lot about what we call neuroquant, which is using an MRI strategy to look at brain function and looking over time in people with chronic illness or chronic exposures and watching how that brain can heal. So the thing that's the most fascinating about the brain is that it can heal. We can neurogenerate if things aren't too late. It's like the liver. The liver can really heal. The liver can be lacerated in an accident and actually reform and heal until it becomes cirrhotic, until those cells become, like, essentially dead to change. They become so hardened, and they can't, they're no longer malleable. And that's what's happening in the brain. So this dementia prevention situation needs to happen. It's not that you can't make changes at 70. Oh, you can. And if people who I love are watching, or my patients are watching that are in their older years, no, all is not lost. Like, you can continue to make change. And the way that you keep your brain the healthiest, we know, is by being connected with friends and family, making social connections, learning, doing the crossword puzzle, listening to something audio that challenges you, writing, keeping up your skill set, driving. You never want to give away a skill set. I mean, obviously, if you can't for other medical reasons, but you want to keep working on your skill sets and keep asking your brain to do new things, work out in different ways, walk different patterns, drive different ways to get to the same place. All of that keeps challenging your brain, and it lays down new pathways, and it's asking your brain to work, work, work. And that's what we want. We need our brain to work. But the other things that are really important are managing your blood sugar level. If you're struggling with memory loss or memory dysfunction in any way, you should be wearing a blood sugar monitor and at least try to control that piece of the puzzle. Making sure your mitochondrial function is good, making sure your detox function is working, making sure you aren't being poisoned by the water in your home or by some of the foods that you eat that are neuroendocrine disruptors, things that we know shift your brain health. Like, so there are things that you can do. And those are the things at almost 50 have become very important in my life. Like, really making sure what I put into my body is working for me and not working for me. Really optimizing my detox, doing 4 detoxes a year and structuring those into my life as non-negotiables because they help reduce my total toxic burden. So as a woman that has a ton of family history of Alzheimer's and dementia with the genetic risks for it, if I'm not doing it now, then what am I doing? Exercising, movement, fresh air, oxygen. We know that there's a lot of different things that make a big impact. So I just am here today to hopefully inspire you to make a choice to get data going into the new year. I'm not sure when you'll watch this, but in here we're in December 2023, and I'm dating it because I always like a frame of reference to say as things change and develop. So on Doctors in Demand in 2 years, I'm sure that I'll be talking about something different. We are learning and growing. But we can't just wait for scientists in a lab to figure out the fix for dementia. It's not going to go like that because it's extraordinarily multifactorial. The other thing I really want to talk about is hormones and the importance of estrogen for women on your brain and the importance for testosterone for men on your brain. And one thing that people are shouting from the rooftops about is hormone replacement therapy and the safety for it for the majority of the population. There are many, many people that don't qualify because of other health illnesses that they have, or cancers or some other issues that have happened previously. So I'm not saying it's for everybody, but if you're going through brain health issues and you haven't had a discussion with your provider about hormones, and then you need to, because one of the main protectors for our body and our brain is being hormone balanced. And we no longer die when we're 50. We no longer die or just sort of fade away after menopause. We have a long life to live. And I don't know about you, but I want to be working at 75 and helping my community and serving my patients and learning and growing and developing. It is in my vision and my dream to still be working, to be working with Kara, to be where I don't want to just, I have a passion that isn't going to go away. And if I need to be at brain function so that I can serve patients, or who knows, be in politics or whatever whatever I decide for my life at that age. I mean, for goodness sakes, right now our president's in his 80s, right? And a man that I trust and know that sets up medical clinics. I'm so inspired by him. He sets up medical clinics, pop-up medical clinics for the homeless and underinsured in LA. He's in his 80s doing that kind of work. Like, we can do these things. We have to maintain a level of sharpness, which means we keep our brain productivity and flexibility, and hormone balance is one of the best ways to do that. So there are many factors that are very important here. I just want to press on some of those for you so that they inspire you to get a sense of, like, do I know my data points, my dementia data points that we have available to us? Like, do I have an MTHFR gene? Do I have an ApoE4 gene? What's happening with my cardiovascular risks? What's happening with my histamine genetics? Do I have blood sugar issues? Have I gone through menopause, but I haven't used any hormone support? Have I had that conversation with my doctor? Do I think that my testosterone's dropping? Have I had a conversation about testosterone for my brain, if I'm a man or woman? But am I metabolically flexible? Do I have metabolic syndrome? Do I have high blood pressure? Am I having arterial blocks in my brain with high blood pressure and high blood sugar levels? Do I have metabolic syndrome? These are all major risk factors that can be reduced with lifestyle. Do I have a high mercury blood level or toxicity? Do I have heavy metals? Am I drinking water that's poisonous? Am I being exposed to arsenic in my days? What am I putting parabens on my face regularly? Right? So there's just so many things that we can shift. And so I just want to get you fired up. Get the data, join a program like we will be offering next year for detox programs. We believe in it. It's a seasonal situation. It is medicine. isn't hard. It just helps to reduce your total toxic burden so that your gut health heals, so that your liver heals, so that your brain fog clears. Like, these things are non-negotiable. You just need to start to say yes to them. So it is my vision for my patients and for my community that we age beautifully, that we can pop on and off airplanes and go visit family members that we love, that we're outside, that we have mobility, that we have our brain health. This is what I want for my patients. I had a 76-year-old patient. She moved. She's no longer my patient that I work with regularly. She was so metabolically flexible and healthy. Her brain health was like, she was like this, and she was really working at it, and it was working for her. She could do what she wanted with her kids. She could read books. She could do the crossword puzzles. She could be really active and engaged in her community. This is how we want to age, and it is really up to you. So cheers to you and your health. And we're fired up. The year 2024, you are going to be hearing a lot from us on these subjects about the things that you need to take control of and change, and have fun in the process doing it. Your health is your wealth. Like, it sounds so cheesy, but it's true. Once you don't have it, you don't have so many things. And so let's get you out of, reflexive issues and into prevention and taking great care of yourself. All right, I'm out. Much love to you all.